This is Phil, member PhD 21 from the Linux Mint forums. Today, someone was asking how to install TeamViewer, an absolutely superb remote control, remote access software package, which is not available in the Linux Mint software manager or Synaptic package manager. So I decided I'd create a quick video tutorial on doing that. I booted into, there are 4 wonderful versions of Linux Mint. Cinnamon, Mate, KDE, and XFCE. For this tutorial, I'm in Linux Mint 18.3, Cinnamon. Now, I've been using TeamViewer for well over a decade. And I used it for many years in business and for personal to access remotely, other computer systems, to see how, if somebody was having a problem, or to show them how to use something. It is absolutely one of the easiest applications to use. And there are, like most popular software, they provide various installation options. In this case, if you go to the TeamViewer website, you can go to any browser and search for TeamViewer, and then click on the TeamViewer website. When that comes up, click on Downloads, and then click Linux. And then if you scroll down, it'll say TeamViewer for Linux, and there are various options. In Linux, you can use deb files, they call them for Debian packaging, which are very similar to Microsoft Windows exe files, where you just double-click them to install them. And as you can see, Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu, their main versions, and there are 64-bit and 32-bit versions. Now, TeamViewer is free for personal use. If you're going to use it for business, you're supposed to pay a licensing fee. Their current version is version 13.2. They also have a version 14, but that's a beta version, and I would not recommend that unless you feel like testing it for them. If you fully install TeamViewer, it will install itself as a service, which is running all the time. Even if you don't have the program up and running, it's got what they call a service daemon that runs in the background continuously. Since I don't use TeamViewer every single day, so, I don't want that. That poses a little bit of a security risk. But TeamViewer also provides Linux archive packages. If you scroll down, it's underneath Other Systems, and it's called, they call it a tar package. An archive file is like a zip file or a 7z file or a tar package, and they also come in 64-bit and 32-bit, and that depends on your computer. Computers are either 32-bit or 64-bit. Most computers over the past 7 years are 64-bit. Anyway, all you got to do is click. In my case, it's a 64-bit computer, so I'm clicking the 64-bit version. it's going to pop up and ask me where, to download it. But you want to download it to your downloads folder. So I'm going to click download. And it's only a 11 megabyte download, so it's pretty quick. Then you bring up your file manager, which in Linux Mint Cinnamon edition is called Files. And you can access that through your system tray in the lower left or through the menus. If you go to like all applications, you scroll down to Files. Come here, where was I? Oh, right there. And if you click that, it'll open up your file manager, which I already have open. And as you could see, I have a whole bunch of videos. Files in my download folder. And here's the TeamViewer archive file. All you have to do is right-click that, select Extract Here, now when that's finished, it creates a folder called TeamViewer. And in that is their startup program also called TeamViewer. It's a program, and if you mouse over it, it'll say executable program. That's how you launch TeamViewer through the archive. Now, I recommend that you do not, unless you feel like running software from your downloads folder, I think it's a good idea to move it to your home folder. Now you can just move it into your home folder, or you could create an apps folder, which is for miscellaneous applications that don't install in a typical normal Linux fashion, which is what I do. Now if I go back to my downloads folder, I recommend moving that folder, and you can either just right click and copy it and then go to your home folder and paste it, or if you right click and there's options for copy to or move to, you can select one of those. Now I'm going to select move to, because I'm going to move it from my downloads folder to my home folder. So you select move to, browse, and it automatically goes to your home folder. Click my apps folder and then just click open. Then if I go to my home folder and my apps folder, TeamViewer is there. Now if you double click that folder to get into the folder, you have to give yourself permission, or at least check to make sure you have permission to run the TeamViewer program. So you right click their startup program, which I happen to know is TeamViewer. You right click that, select properties, click the permissions tab at the top, and make sure that there's a check for allowed to execute under the owner. You could also put group if you wanted to. Then click close. Now at this point it's ready to run. You can just double click TeamViewer, and it should come right up. Now it'll come up with a license agreement, and you say yes, accept that, and there it is. TeamViewer's ready to run. And all you have to do is, whoever you're trying to connect with does the same thing on their system, and it works on all computers, whether you're Windows, Macintosh, Linux. And you can use, I could be using Linux to take over a Windows machine or a Macintosh machine, and vice versa. And all you do is give each other your ID number and your password and click connect. Now, to make it simpler to access TeamViewer, you might want to create a shortcut. And in all Linux Mint editions, it's pretty simple. You just right-click the desktop someplace where there's no icons. You select create a new launcher here. And it pops up. And you give it a name, preferably the name of the application. And next to where it says command, there's a browse button. Browse to wherever you put the TeamViewer folder. In my case, I moved it to underneath the applications folder under TeamViewer. And then you click their startup program, TeamViewer, and click OK. If you want to change the icon, you could do that too. It's under the same, you have to locate the icon now. Which happens to be under the TeamViewer folder, under a TV bin folder, under desktop, and I picked the 32. Well, you could pick one. Normally you would pick like 16 or 32. I'm just picking 32. Then just click OK. Now, in Linux Mint Cinnamon, they've made this really convenient. It pops up and says, would you like to add this launcher to the menu? Well, if you use, that's pretty convenient. So I would say yes to this. And now it pops up, now it's available in your menus as well. Usually when you do it that way, it shows up under other, like TeamViewer. You can move that though. Pardon me. Okay, now on my screen, I should have a TeamViewer icon, which I do. Now I can double click that. And TeamViewer should come up. Now, sometimes you may have to log out and log back in. For some reason, it's not coming up from the shortcut. And that's all there is anyway to running, running TeamViewer.